Hello, my name is Monica Krimendahl, and I'm here with my business partner, Rick Hayhurst. Hey, Rick.
Hey, friends. How are you? Thanks for being with us.
Yes, thank you for being with us. This is Blitzby today, and we are here with Jay Newell, and he is a sales and marketing consultant who specializes in building relationships and growing revenue. And he does that at the company that he works for by leveraging LinkedIn. And I tell you, I met Jay, and he is so much fun, and you will just love him right away. Jay, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the kind words. And I'm looking forward to just having a good conversation.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you here. And I just wanted you to bring us backward. I know that you're all of 20 years old, I'm just kidding. And so just bring us backward to how you got to where you are and just a little bit about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. So, you're not wrong. I turned 28 next Wednesday. So, I'm on like the upper side of the 20s, I'm kind of creeping on 30s, kind of mildly freaking out, but we don't got to get to that. Well, for me, I'll keep it short and sweet. I come from two 20-year Navy veterans. My mom was actually a drill instructor and my dad was military police. So for me, like structure and discipline and hard work is pretty much all that's been drilled into me by force, pretty much, and lots of yelling and stuff. But I'm good now. I turned out fine. From there, I did really good in school. I graduated from Indiana State with a degree in operations and supply chain management. Got my first gig. I was an operations manager. Did that for about 3 years, did really well, but I was getting to a point where I was getting homesick. I was missing out on my friends having babies and getting married and stuff. And I was getting tired of having to spend a lot of money on flights back and forth all the time. So I was like, you know what? It's time to move home. So one of my best friends, he actually works for Connected. He's a BDR here. And I saw tremendous growth with him in the first 3 months. So from November to about January, I saw that he was starting to talk to me like I had been talking to him for the past 5 years of our friendship, just trying to get him to expand his mind, things like that. And I'm sitting here puzzled, like, what are they teaching you over there, man? You don't read books, you don't listen to podcasts, you don't do any of that stuff. So what are they teaching you over there, man? You're coming a long way. So he told me, just kind of what the environment was like at Connected. So I came by to grab lunch with him and I kind of walked around the office, got a good introduction with all the C-suite team executives here. And the vibe was just very positive. And there's a lot of focus on personal development. And, one of the first things they tell you here is this is a stepping stone for wherever you want to go in your career. If you want to be here forever, we would be glad to have you, but we're going to help you develop so that you can achieve what it is that you want to achieve. So for me, I was bought in immediately. This sounds fantastic. And so I started out entry-level sales position. I was an SDR. Kind of rose through the ranks kind of fast. I actually just updated my LinkedIn today, and now I am director of lead flow. So I'm in charge of all of the SDR team and just managing all of our outbound sales. So I've come a long way in 6 months, I would say.
Amazing. I love your story. I love that you just tell it like, hey, I was just there and I was with these two, these were my parents and this is how it works. Here's where I am. And it sounds like you're really stepping into what you're good at, what you enjoy, and what you own. You're stepping into your place and you're finding your space. And I love how you tell that story. So tell us a little bit more about you were in sales, you worked your way up, and now you are the director. What did you say? The director of the lead flow. What does that mean?
So lead flow would be like the flow of how your inbound and outbound leads come in, right? So I focus on outbound. We have a marketing team and just other different kinds of people that focus more on inbound, like doing webinars and things like that, just trying to drive traffic to our website and then to our development team. So for me, I focus on outreach. So I'm constantly trying to get people's attention. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to use our awesome software.
Totally awesome. So let's talk about just a little bit about, let's back up to first talk about sales a little, and then let's talk about the awesome software. So just talk to me about, I know that in some of the prior conversations that we've had, that you started in sales and you said that, and then you move your way up. So what makes a good salesman? What are the ingredients that it took for you to be in sales and then move your way up?
Well, first and foremost, you got to be able to be told no and then keep going, right? Because you're going to get a lot of no's. And I like to tell my team that you're going to get at least 10 no's, 3 maybes, and 1 absolutely yes. Let's start right now. So as long as you understand that it is a numbers game, like whatever you're selling may not be a good fit for everybody, but you're going to find the good people like that it is a good fit for. And from there, as long as you chase relationships instead of just trying to chase sales, you'll come off as way more genuine, like bring your personality into it. Like don't sound like a robot and just give people pitches. People like to talk to people and not salespeople.
Amen. Amen. We do. It's, and in the end of the day, it is all about the relationship, isn't it? That is what it comes down to. Can you have a relationship? Do you have a relationship? And then what does that relationship look like, and how do we work inside of that relationship? Beautiful. Beautiful. So tell me a little bit more about, so you got these numbers and you're talking to people. What do you feel like is the secret sauce that makes that, not that makes the sale, but really that makes the relationship work?
I would say just being genuine and authentic. If people see through what it is that you're doing, then you're not going to make a good effect on anybody, right? But if they buy into you and your personality, then they're going to trust you, and they're going to really want to know what it is that you have to say. And at that point, you can just tell them what you do. You don't have to sell anybody on anything.
Yes, for sure. Totally.
Yeah. So can you say more, like you said, chasing relationships instead of chasing sales? So newer entrepreneurs, younger entrepreneurs, 1 to 5 years, are trying to get their stride. They're really still trying to figure it out. And they hear this idea of chasing relationships, and just maybe unpack it so they have a real clear picture of, like, it's not like being obsessed with someone, with becoming their stalker, but rather what does it mean? What does it mean to chase a relationship versus chasing sales?
I would say that, first and foremost, treat people like people, right? So what I mean by chase a relationship is if this is somebody that you want to talk to, you think the conversation makes sense for whatever reason, reach out to them and be genuine and want to start a relationship with them. Don't just go into it thinking, all right, I'm going to close this guy. Go into it like, I want to meet this guy. If that makes more sense.
Yeah. It changes my brain for sure. Like, I want to close this guy versus I want to meet this guy. And I really, when I take that out of the conversation, there's just no end game. It's just like this interview. It's just a pub and a pint. There's just there's no end game. It's just like people being with people, and you're awesome. So I would never get to your awesome if I had an agenda running. I'd be on my agenda. I wouldn't be on you. So instead, it really rearranges my brain. So I really appreciate how simple it is. Like, chase people, don't chase sales. Yeah. And are you, so tell us how you take care of yourself. So one of the things with Blitzby today is we're completely about wellness. Blitzby is blitz, race, hurry, run. And B is about coming back to balance, coming back to self. So you're successful, you're driven, you're out there making the world a better place. How do you take care of this guy?
I mean, that is a fantastic question, because I'm always trying to get better. I've almost become addicted to just getting better in all aspects. So first and foremost, I always try and make achievable, like, I call it my win list, right? So things that I can achieve every single day without having to change the list. So right now, it's about 10 pages a day. I like to listen to one, either motivational, some kind of leadership audio, something that gets me better. And I listen to that in my mobile university. That's what I call my car, because that's all that I listen to is just audiobooks and different kinds of podcasts. And then I am also an absolute gym fanatic. So if I don't work out or do some kind of physical activity, I get very stir crazy. So I have to get all that energy out. So those are like my top 3 things. Outside of that, I do a lot of like mentorship meetings. So I have a lot of like 15, 30-minute meetings with people from our executive team. And it's not even just about work. It's just about like what's going on in their life, what's going on in mine. I always ask for advice. I'm constantly asking for like more ways to grow myself. So underline, always try and learn more and just be a sponge. That's my number one thing.
Oh, so good. So good. And so we might have to have you back to do a little series unpacking every one of those aspects. The mobile university speaks to me. I used to be when I would be in my car for hours, I used to sing at the top of my lungs. And so it was my concert hall. Yeah.
I like it.
My mobile concert hall. Yeah.
I love that too. I use my car as my mobile university too. And I mean, it's awesome. The technology that we have now is really, really cool in that way, that we can learn in our cars. We can learn when we're walking our dogs. We can learn when we're cooking. We can learn anytime now. It's beautiful. So tell us a little bit about, so you were sales, did a bunch in sales, and now you're actually in leadership. What do you find is the difference? How are you teaching people to do what you did?
Fair enough. That's an excellent question. First and foremost, what I always tell, I have leaders under me as well that kind of like co-manage the teams, and I like manage them almost. It's like a whole like little stair step. But what I tell them is, first and foremost, you have to lead from the front. You can't go and tell people to do things that you're not willing to go do yourself. Right. And those daily behaviors that you do, like that's going to rub off on everybody else on your team. So I have consistent meetings with them asking me, what kind of books are you reading? You know what I mean? Like, what did you listen to today? And I'm not trying to push them to be like me. I'm just trying to get it in their mind that they have more room to get better and develop with not a lot of effort. At the end of the day, it doesn't take that much to be extraordinary. It's just a little bit more than ordinary. And that's what I tell them all the time.
So
I
good.
love that. That is so beautiful. We talk about that a lot in our company too. Extraordinary versus ordinary. And I love how you just say it. It doesn't take a lot. Just put it does take something, but it doesn't take a lot. So yeah, cool. Very, very fun. Sorry, Rick, you were going to say something?
No, I really, I think it might be the theme of the day, like extraordinary, versus ordinary, like the theme of the day. And it's such a gift to consider, like, it just doesn't take a lot to be extraordinary. It sometimes takes me getting out of the way and allowing extraordinary to show up. My normal way of being, my normal day, I might not be extraordinary, but then there's something that's possible during the day, and stepping into that possibility might cause me to be extraordinary. Like being here with you, like this is extraordinary. It's such a gift to be with you. And so thanks for showing up. You're extraordinary. You accepted the invitation. Here you are. It's really, really something. And so ordinary is like, yeah, everyday life. We all got it. We all got to deal with it, whatever. And a lot of people are okay with that. That's where they live. That's where they vibrate. Like, that's all right. It's just not where this conversation is. So I'm just really honoring you and being extraordinary. So thanks for that.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. I got one more quote that I forgot to kind of tie in. It's really, really good. And it's something that I said this morning. It's like everybody on our sales team seems to be kind of doing the same thing. But I tell them, follow the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your day should be things that you know that works for you. And then 20%, switch it up, try and find something new. And they were like, well, like, why would we do that? I'm like, well, first of all, doing common things deliver common results. So if you want to be uncommon, you need to switch it up and figure out like what that secret sauce is.
Yeah, I like that. That's fun. Totally. I'm still in that just for a second for myself, because that is where extraordinary shows up. Absolutely. Where we look at the process that's already there, or we look at what it is that we're doing, and then we think about, okay, well, how can we tweak it? How can we change it? How can we edit it to shorten it, or make it exponentially more incredible or something, instead of just staying inside the lane?
Exactly.
Yeah. It seems so doable, actually, when you bring it down to an 80-20 rule. It seems so doable. Like, switch something up. Instead of like sitting at your desk, stand at your desk. Like, that's something, right? Yeah. Or instead of talking to everybody call somebody that you don't know. Like, that's extraordinary. 80-20 makes it so attainable and creates a context in my mind that makes me unafraid of it. It being extraordinary, like, that sounds magical, but creating an 80-20 rule, that sounds completely like, oh yeah, of course I could do that. So what's the response? So you say that to your team. How do they respond to you? You've got great energy. You're high energy. You're very driven, handsome. People hear you. People experience you. Like, you're an experience, right? So how do they reply? You say something like that. What are they doing? I'm in the listening. What are they doing?
Well, it depends on the day. It also depends on the weather. Like, we're in downtown Indianapolis. We have a lot of windows around us. So if it's like a gray day, I really got to be on them, throwing those quotes at them, yelling and screaming, making a really fun environment. But more often than not, what I say sticks. But I have to kind of reassure people, like not everybody's going to have a good day. Even myself, I don't have good days all the time, right? But you got to reassure yourself and push through. So as long as I keep that knowledge coming with a little bit of tidbit of, hey, you remember what I said the other day? You remember what I said the other day, kind of thing. And another big thing that I do is individual meetings with them, so I can find out what their internal motivation is, because it's different for everybody. So like, I can't say the same thing to one of my guys who's motivated by money for somebody else that's motivated on impact. I have to kind of adjust. So like, I have a one size fit all kind of speech in the beginning of the day, and then towards like the middle of the day, I'm watching activities and calls and things like that. I'll come up to them, give them a little sticky note, and say like, someone like, my favorite one is, there's less traffic on the extra mile. So if I see somebody really, really going hard, I want them to know, but I don't want to be distracting, right? Everybody loves pats on the back. So I put a little sticky note on their laptop. They look at it and like, all right, awesome. They get right back to work. So it's great.
Beautiful. What a fun, I never even thought of that, but that's really fun. And because you guys are all in the office and it is an environment where you can run and do that, I guess we could throw a sticky note to somebody too in the same way via computer, but that's super fun. I love that. Just being able to give somebody a pat on the back quick when they need it, for sure. Awesome. You're a great leader.
I try. I do what I can. I read so much. I just try and implement those things and see what happens.
Yeah, it's good. I just drove through Indianapolis. I drove home from Orlando via Nashville, and I just drove through. I would have taken you out for a drink, but I didn't know you then.
Hey, no worries, man. Next time I'll show you some cool spots.
Yes, awesome. I would love that. Yeah, I'm back and forth regularly. Yeah. So, all right. So tell us about nutrition. Like, how do you tell your team how to feed their brain?
So we have blitz days on Wednesdays, right? So it's my job to bring in a bunch of energy drinks, a bunch of snacks, things like that. And I did a test. So like the very first day that we did it, everybody has to make 100 calls. You book 5 demos, you can leave early, right? But 100 calls, that takes about, 3 hours of work ish, depending on how many people answer and things like that. So I brought in a big thing of Red Bull, lots of sugar. And then I brought in like some other alternative drinks that I've just been trying out. And I watched how everybody grabbed, like lots of guys grabbed the Red Bulls, and I watched their performance. Right. So, they're cooking. Eventually, boom, they hit that wall because they've just been feeding their brain with sugar. So I like to lead like kind of by experience when it comes to nutrition. So like those guys that got the headaches, I'll slide them something else. You know what I mean? Like get them some water or something and just tell them like, look, next time, don't go for the sugar, man. And it's very simple things like that. Or everybody here knows that I'm really big into fitness. So that's a question that I do get a lot. And when it comes down to like nutrition and fitness, I'm not the expert. I ate Chick-fil-A yesterday, so it's not like I have like the greatest diet in the world, but I try to make sure that I at least exercise. I don't eat fast food all the time. It's okay sometimes, like some things are okay in moderation, but just don't go overboard, and if it comes down to like the super hardcore people, I just tell them like, look, I'm not going to be the guy for that. I'm not a bodybuilder. I just like to work out. So you got to go talk to the specialist, but I can give you like a little bit here and there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the market test too, how you just put something out there and just see, okay, let's just see what happens. A scientific experiment on my team here.
Yeah, make things fun,
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Good.
For sure. Awesome. So I see your hat and I saw your drink cup with the KN. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the KN just stands for Connected. It's the company that we work for. So to really give you not a whole sales pitch of information, really what we do is we just expand outreach and simplify conversations. A lot of people use LinkedIn as a good tool for outreach, but they just don't understand the most effective ways of really utilizing LinkedIn to build relationships and not chase the sales. So as long as you understand the method, then you're going to produce results.
Awesome. So tell me about how you use it with LinkedIn, and like, if there are the people who are listening right now are like, okay, what are you talking about? Can you give them something that they could take away from this conversation and go do right now?
Absolutely. So what we do at Connected could be done manually. So I'm going to walk you through that process. So really what we do is we do what's called a Boolean search. It's just putting keywords in quotations, followed by words like and, or, and then also not. So hypothetically, let's say I'm looking for digital marketers. I could, do a CMO, director of marketing, things like that, put that in quotations. And let's say I only want them in Indianapolis. So it'd be in quotations, director of marketing, CMO, and also in quotations, Indianapolis. So boom, I have my target search now. Let's say it's 1,000 people. So from that 1,000 people, I want to start my outreach. So I'm going to start, connecting, adding a note, and saying, hey, I want to connect for whatever reason. And then from there, once they respond, you want to thank them within about 3 hours for the highest response rate. And then typically you want to keep following up because that's where the money is. It's always in the follow-up. And it takes about 3 to 5 touches on one person to really get their attention. You got to keep in mind, if you are on LinkedIn prospecting, not everybody else is on LinkedIn prospecting. So they may not be on LinkedIn as much as you are, but ideally, when they do get on, you want to try and be at the very top of their inbox so they can see you get their attention. You're not throwing up sales pitches on them, and you actually just want to say, hey, I want to meet you. You know what I mean? And that process is going to be way more effective than what most people are currently doing. Now, at Connected, what we do is we just automate that process. So instead of having to do each individual messages over and over and over again, we just build a messaging campaign that drips out over a couple of days, maybe like one touch every day or so at random times. And from there, all that we do is just wait for people to respond to our campaigns, and that's where our prospect begins.
Beautiful. What a great process. And it simplifies it. I hear what you're saying about simplifying it. And I also hear that, there are some times where people aren't on LinkedIn, or they aren't on Facebook Messenger, or they aren't wherever it is that we're looking for them. So it is the other thing I'm hearing is that it's important to make sure that as a business owner, we have a LinkedIn profile. We've got profiles in different places so that we can be found and we can find other people and we can use those profiles in a specific way. What are your tips about like the profile that we should have in our profiles?
Sure. Depending on what you're doing, if you are trying to build relationships, I always try and make a profile that is approachable. So on my profile, I have just fun facts about myself. The first thing it says is gym fanatic, and it has a little weightlifter emoji. And then after that, it says 3-time fantasy football champion, because I'm proud of that and I earned it. And then after that, it just says, I love helping humans. You know what I mean? So it helps people understand a little bit about like kind of what my vibes are. It doesn't just say director of lead flow at Connected. Like, because you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't tell anything about you. So from there, I would, in your about section, say what motivates you. Say why you like doing what you're doing. Like, what is the impact that you're chasing? Like, how do you want to benefit other people? And why do you want to do so? Like you want to draw people into your individual profile. And if you are a business owner, you're the face of the business, right? So if they see that, they see that they come across your business profile, they like it, looks really good. They see that you're in charge. They're going to click on your profile. And, if you have like a very cookie cutter kind of LinkedIn, you may lose their attention, right? But you don't want that. You want them to reach out and be excited to talk to you. So always have a business page. Make sure it looks really good. A nice write up about what it is that you do, clear cut, concise, how you benefit people in your target market. And then from there, good picture, good background photo, make sure your website's on there. Just as much information as you can get in a digestible manner should be on that business page. I always say short and sweet is better. You don't want to throw up information, have massive paragraphs. Like, nobody's going to read that. Like, I don't read massive paragraphs except for when I'm regularly reading. But even then, if it's a whole page with no like spaces, no indents, like I'm just going to look at this and I'm going to skim it. I'm not actually going to read it and digest what I'm reading.
You're on mute.
Am I?
No,
Am I on mute?
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Jay. The whole thing was muted. Can we start over? Just kidding.
Oh, man. I was like, no way, no.
No. No, I'm kidding. So when I go to LinkedIn and I see things like, lover of Beethoven, love gardens, passionate gardener, soccer mom, dad jokester, things like that. I'm not expecting that. So on LinkedIn, I'm expecting not a dry profile, but I'm expecting a professional profile. Yeah. So as you're describing it, I'm wondering how much is there something lost in it? Like, what is the data showing? So if you're sharing things about your personality and, you're sharing all that stuff versus I'm a sales leader. I take 10 men to war, and through leadership training, they come out as 10 whole men, versus, only one survives. Like, as a professional versus as the guy who is awesome, high energy, going to the gym. What does the data show about that? Because it's a real confusing conversation right now. Facebook is social, LinkedIn is professional. People are doing deals on Facebook and they've turned it into a professional profile. But LinkedIn's always been professional. So what is the conversation? What are the trends and what's the data showing us?
So I'm not sure like how heavy you are on your feed and the kind of people that you follow, but there's really a trend kind of turning more towards like a higher influencer kind of presence. And like that really became it really became like a thing whenever what was it called? I can't remember. It's LinkedIn. Let me look at it real quick. I'm blanking.
Come on, man. It's the Red Bull.
It is the Red Bull. That's what it's called creator mode. That's what it's called. So it has creator mode. It changes your profile, and now it affiliates your profile with 5 individual hashtags that you pick. So now when you post out content, people are going to start engaging, and you're automatically going to be affiliated with those hashtags. So that kind of goes into more marketing, and it's not always personal stuff, right? People come off as more personable, but they're giving out motivational information, marketing information, sales information, whatever that may be, whatever their content is. It's just being seen as more of an influencer kind of role. And I always like to remind people that yes, it's seen as like a business kind of social media, but at the end of the day, it is a social media, and it is a platform where people connect and network. So when you're networking with people at a networking event, are you super serious the entire time, or do you laugh and joke with people and really try and build those relationships? So if you do, then this is perfect. Like this is the exact approach that you should take, because people buy from people, like they don't just buy from a profile.
Yeah, right on. I'm reminded, I took a squirt gun to a funeral. So I'm that guy. I'm that guy. And I can appreciate that, really, like, how do you network? So that actually brings a really lovely context, and it makes it super simple to understand. How do you network? So that's how you present yourself on LinkedIn. How do you network? That's how you present yourself on LinkedIn. That's really great. So I actually can see like a series of interviews, if you're interested, where we can unpack some of this a little bit more. Would you like to be on Blitzby Today a couple more times, and how would it be for you if we published you a couple more times?
I would love that. I really would. And I would honestly, like, you guys like me and you're gassing me up, but there are some other people on that sales floor that are very good at certain things. So one of the guys that I work with, his name is Chase. He calls himself the CEO, the Chief Energy Officer, and that is exactly what he brings to the table every single day. And like when you see him, he'll come up to you, "Hey man," he starts pacing like this, "How you doing? You doing all right?" You know what I mean? Like those are the things that people need in their sales team. So I would love to even have him come on. I have some other little characters, you know what I mean, that could make things really fun and just kind of give a different perspective.
Well, thank you so much, Jay, for being with us today. It's been fabulous learning some about who you are, and then really bringing that who you are into who you are being at work and what you're doing in your life. It's just beautiful. And I look forward to the next several times that we can get together and keep doing this. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Absolutely. I think I'm frozen. Am I frozen?
You are.